Last night was the player draft for the All Star game, where it was Sebastian Aho taken as well as everyone else. We will discuss that as well as the health update regarding Fredrick Andersen, all in this episode of Locked On Hurricanes.
Your Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, Caniacs. I'm your host, Jared Ellis, and you're listening to Locked On Hurricanes on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, thank you for making Locked On Hurricanes your first listen of this Friday afternoon. And today's episode is brought to you by the folks over at FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your best bet of $5 or more wins. Visit fanduel.com/locked on to get started today. Now, last night was the player draft for the NHL All Star games, and we got a packed episode, folks. We got that, we got the skills competition, and we got the Andersen health update. But like I said, we're going to kick things off with the draft last night. Obviously, I mean, we're going to discuss all notable ones, or all the rosters, of course. But Sebastian Aho was taken by Team MacKinnon last night. He was taken with the 14th overall pick in the fourth round of the draft. Obviously, everything is taking place in Toronto this year. Personally, not a fan of the All Star jersey, so I will not be picking this one up. But we love seeing Sebastian Aho make it back to the All Star game, and it's gonna be interesting. One thing said here in the Hurricanes article about it was, quote, as an early selection, perhaps MacKinnon wanted Carolina's top center because the two were the league's top two scorers from December 1st to the 30th, as Aho's 22 points in 15 games were second only to MacKinnon's 27 points in 14 games. So yeah, that's crazy to think about. Obviously, I personally really enjoying that they went back to the player draft. I mean, I didn't have a problem with by the divisions and whatnot. I think that's totally fine. But this was the first time since 2015 that they have used the draft style format for the All Star games, and it. I think it's fun. I like the player drafts and whatnot. Obviously, NBA does the same thing as well. I think it just makes for, I guess you would say, more interesting viewing. It's like, oh, where's this guy going to get drafted? Because they're all stars. They're all like really really good players. So that's always fun as well. Who's gonna be with who? Because Sebastian Aho, if they were still doing the normal way or the old way, I guess I should say, of doing things, where it was by division and conference and all that. You wouldn't have him and Nathan MacKinnon on the same team. Um, and I do want to dive into the rest of the team as well. So we're going to look at that and see Team MacKinnon. Yeah, you see things like this. It's not something you would normally see. You have Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, Sidney Crosby, Alexander Gorgiev, Kirill Kaprizov, Sebastian Aho, Tom Wilson, Jeremy Swayman, Travis Konechny, Elias Lindholm, and Oliver Bjorkstrand. Those aren't necessarily. I mean, obviously, Wilson. They would play together on the old All Star team, but yeah, like this. it makes for fun combinations there on the team, and I personally I enjoy it. Um, and obviously Sebastian Aho was the only All Star selection for the Hurricanes. They didn't get anyone voted in by the fans, which is fine. I mean, the one guy that had the best case, I guess, in Seth Jarvis, he said he won't gonna go. He was going on vacation, so it is what it is there. It's going to be fun regardless. Um, and, you look at, the other teams, you have, Team Hughes, Quinn Hughes, Elias Pettersson, Nikita Kucherov, Thatcher Demko, Kyle Connor, Brady Kachuk, Jesper Bratt, Cam Talbot, Brock Besser. Oh, God, I can never pronounce his name right. JT Miller, Frank Vitrana, and Jack Hughes, who is co captain, but he is injured right now. Um, so, and then you have Team Matthews with Austin Matthews, Morgan Riley, William Nylander, Mitch Marner. Uh, of all the Leafs there on that team, Jake Ottinger, Clayton Keller, Matt Barzell, Igor Shesterkin, Philip Forsberg, Alex DeBrincat, and Vincent Trocheck. And then on Team McDavid, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, obviously. Then Connor Hellebuck, David Pastrnak, Ramses Stalin, Robert Thomas, Sam Reinhart, Sergei Bobrovsky, Boone Jenner, Nick Suzuki, and Thomas Hurdle. And obviously, all co-captains, teammates and whatnot. And that's fine. Again, it makes it fun. Yeah. I'm excited to see how this goes over the weekend. Obviously, we do have Elias Lindholm on the team as well, who will not be a Carolina Hurricane because he was traded to Vancouver. So no more Lindholm trade talk. Yay. But tonight is the skills competition for the All Star weekend festivities. But Sebastian Aho will not be competing in them, but we will discuss who is right after this quick break, folks. Now, folks, it is Super Bowl time. And if you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday tends to be all about scoring the best seat on the couch and grabbing your favorite football snacks and placing some super bets. And you can do those from America's number one sportsbook, that is FanDuel. And folks, FanDuel has so many ways for you to end the season with a W or two or three or four, however many you feel like. Not only can you bet on who will win Super Bowl 58, God, 58, man, but FanDuel also has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more, folks. New customers join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. And of course, you also still have the NBA underway, NHL obviously still underway. And before we know it, baseball is going to be back as well. So just visit fanduel.com/locked on to sign up. That's fanduel.com/locked on. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Now, folks, the skills competition is tonight. And as of right now, Sebastian Aho is not amongst the participants of that dozen folks, in that. But who knows what could happen? I mean, I'm not counting on. I doubt he is either. I think he's just kind of there for good time. He's there on his All Star vacation. Um, and of course, as usual, excuse me, the All Stars will compete for points in 8 events, with the All Star who accumulates the most points taking home a prize of $1 million. And those participating this year are JT Miller, Quinn Hughes, Elias Pettersson, Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Matt Barzell, Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Nikita Kucherov, and David Pastrnak. And you got a list like that. I mean, you can't really be too upset that Aho ain't that he ain't participating. You get a list of players like that. It just is what it is there. I'm not upset about it. We can go through that list a million times, and I'm gonna feel the same way. I mean, obviously, yeah, it'd be fun to see him, out there participating in the skills competition. We know he can win, some of these competitions. Yeah, he did a few years ago. So did Jacob Slavin. I mean, we know they can do it. It is what it is there. I'm not going to be upset about it, but of course, the events are the fastest skater, hardest shot, stick handling, one timers, passing, accuracy shooting, and the list goes on. Obviously, I didn't throw it in, all the sponsor name, for that stuff. And then, of course, top eight will advance to the seventh event, which is the shootout. Then top six of that onto the obstacle course. And, so on and so forth. We all kind of know how this stuff goes at this point. We've watched plenty of all-star games and whatnot, but it's always fun, to kick back, watch this stuff, whether you're watching it live, whether you're watching, the replays of it. It's always fun to watch, see who goes out, does what. There's always, that one or two things, that happen, that gets folks talking. It's gonna be fun like usual. Yeah, I mean, we ain't seen Aho compete tonight. It is what it is. I'm not gonna be upset about it. And then obviously we have the All-Star game or the All-Star games begin on a Saturday. And then of course, single elimination, 3-game tournament, as it's been, for since 2016. It so that's kind of what everyone's going to be watching. It is what it is. We all kind of know. The guys. There's no consequence or stakes involved in this. As opposed, something going into the playoffs or whatever. So the guys, going out there, they're just vibing. They're not, playing like they would in a normal game. It is what it is. I'm not going to be upset about it. Again, there's usually always some fun stuff to take away from All Star Weekend, and we will of course do that as well as All Star Weekend rolls along. But the Hurricanes did issue an update on Fredrick Andersen's health the other day, and I do really want to talk about that as well. And we will do that right after this quick break, folks. Now, folks, the other day, the Hurricanes issued a health update on Fredrick Andersen, and it was a great one, folks. Fredrick Andersen is set to resume on ice activities. And this is absolutely fantastic. He's been out. We're going to read in a second what Waddell and Andersen had to say about everything. But it's great to see him be able to get back out there. I've said since we can take as long as he needs. I don't want him coming back too early and risk something going wrong. I don't want that. I want his health should 100% be the number one priority, and we're moving in the right direction. Waddell had this to say: "Quote: In November, Fredrick Andersen was diagnosed with a deep vein thrombosis and subsequent pulmonary embolisms. He has been on anticoagulation medication since that time and working with a team of experts to obtain medical opinions as to how he can return to playing safely. Fredrick has resumed off ice activities without complication and will now begin limited on ice conditioning. We will provide additional updates as the process continues to progress. End quote. Um, and we hadn't gotten really anything in quite a while regarding Freddie on how things were going, but now we kind of know just what was going on. Obviously, we knew it was serious, but holy crap! I'm glad they caught it and took the necessary steps to getting him better. It's nice to know that he's been doing off ice stuff, probably just in the gym and stuff like that. Um, and hasn't had any issues. And now he's going to be starting back on ice. Obviously, it. He's been out since the beginning of November. It's now the beginning of February. I would not bank on seeing him anytime soon, and that is completely fine. And I'm not again, I don't want anything to get rushed, obviously for his health, and then, him being out so long, potential injury as well. We saw that, with Max Pacioretty. He potentially, could have came back too soon, retore his Achilles. I don't want anything like that for Freddie, for his health. Because we know, injuries have, kicked his butt in the past. I don't want anything like that either. So, just take his time, do what he has to do, and we'll obviously all still be there, ready to cheer him on when he does come back. And I'm thrilled. It's great, that he's made good progress and can get to that point again. It'd be there'll be some fun pictures and videos coming out of when he does inevitably start practicing with the team again. And that's going to be really fun. Andersen had this to say, saying, quote, "I am thrilled that I'm a step closer to joining my teammates in competing on the ice. I feel grateful for the help and support I've received from my family and doctors, as well as the entire Hurricanes organization." And cool, pretty, quick, simple stuff. Not a whole lot there. Obviously, it sucks, not being able to do what you love. He can't go out there and play hockey. His body, said, no, we ain't doing that. Um, so for him, to be able to, get back to doing what he wants to do, that's fantastic. And I'm, I just can't wait, to see him back. But again, do not want him to rush things at all. Take all the time he needs, because the Hurricanes will still be here when he gets back. And obviously, there's been a lot of talk of what will the Hurricanes do in terms of a goalie? Obviously, Freddie is making steps in the right direction, which is great and fantastic, and we love to see it. But he's not going to be coming back anytime soon. He ain't going to come back, next month or anything like that. So they still do need to, in my opinion, at the deadline, look at making a move. We've talked about it with names that they could potentially go after. We'll obviously continue doing that as the trade deadline approaches. Um, but I think that that's still something they need to go out and do, because Freddie is not going to be coming back anytime soon. That can't be what you're banking on. Of like, oh yeah, we can power through, this, Freddie will be back in time for the playoffs. Maybe he will be. Maybe he will be. I hope he is. I would love to go and watch Freddie play in the playoffs again. But you can't bank on that with this kind of thing. We don't want that, if he's not 100% ready to go. So, in my opinion, I still think they need to make that goalie trade. And don't make, a money ball depth piece type move again, like they did, with claiming Spencer Martin off of waivers. Like, no, they need to go out and like make a splash with a trade. You didn't do it for Lindholm. despite needing someone like that on your team, can really help boost your offense. You didn't go out and get him, despite frankly, kind of a couple years worth of speculation of whether or not you would, but they didn't. And I still think they need to do that as well. But you know, goaltending has been an issue in the postseason for them. For one reason or another, whether it was injuries, whether it was goalies just not being up to the caliber they needed to be, or whatever it may be. But you need to go out and make a splash. Even if it's just for a rental. If all right, Freddie's gonna be good to go next season. If for a fact, like, all right, he's gonna be good for opening night. I still think they need to go out and really make a move because what they have right now, Ronta, Kochetkov, and Martin as well. I don't think that's gonna be what will get you a Stanley Cup. I'd love to be wrong there, folks. Absolutely love to be wrong. But I just don't think that trio there. You can throw Peretz in as well, since we've seen him this season. That's not gonna be what gets you the Stanley Cup once you start getting down, you know, that playoff path, playoff road, whatever you want to call it, road to the Stanley Cup. That competition is gonna get harder and harder and harder and harder. Is Ronta gonna be able to stay healthy enough for that? Can he perform to that standard? He is older. We are seeing time catching up to him this year. We're seeing that. Can he play at the level he needs to? Is Kochetkov ready for that? And because he's still extremely young. Yes, we know that that's the Hurricanes see him as their franchise goalie, long term. But is he ready for that now? Spencer Martin, he's there. Yanni Peretz, he's there. But are those two guys gonna be guys that you can rely on come Eastern Conference final time, because the competition is going to be incredibly tough. It's not going to be what they're facing right now, but we'll just have to see what happens there, folks. But the main thing is that just Fredrick Andersen, he takes all the time he needs to get healthy. If I don't want it to happen, but if he misses the entire rest of the season, then so be it. He needs to do what he needs to do to be at 100%, and not risk anything like this happening again. And then also, as I mentioned, injuries as well. He hasn't played in quite some time. He, like I said, he's been out since very beginning of November. I want him to be as conditioned and in best game shape possible before he comes back again, so he doesn't risk another injury like he sustained before. But we'll obviously continue to talk about Fredrick Andersen and any updates regarding him as they become available. They're kind of few and far between, but we'll talk about them nonetheless, as well as more stuff out of the All-Star game as the weekend rolls on. So make sure you are following along at LO_Hurricanes and myself on socials at Jared Ellis _96. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube as well. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode. And as always, folks, let's go Canes and enjoy the All-Star weekend. Sebastian Aho.